hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the inaugural season of the SKR Sim Racing League. Happy to have your company here at the start of this brand new adventure. This is round number 1 of this season, coming to you tonight from Watkins, Glen. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Joshua Wilkie is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Charles, it's always nice to stand at the precipice of a brand new adventure, especially one that is going to be as cool as this. GT3 racing at Watkins, Glen to get the 6-round championship up and rolling. When you think of sports car racing in the United States, you really do think of Watkins, Glen as probably one of the main racetracks that you see year in and year out from both an amateur and professional level when it comes to sports car racing here in the U.S. I feel like this is just about the perfect way to get the season up, rocking and rolling.
Absolutely, Ron. I completely agree with you. This is, you can't ask for a better car track combination to start off a league than GT3s at Watkins Glen, as qualifying's just getting started here tonight. I'm just happy to be part of this new venture that we've got going here with SKR. And we'll probably start off slow, but I think we may end with a bang here as we get this league underway. And just I think we're going to be looking forward to some really good racing as this season gets going.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be a fun adventure for me as well. The folks at SKR Sim Racing, not too far away from me. I've been a lifelong resident of the city of Philadelphia in the northeast part of the city, and SKR just based in Lansdale. We'll talk about that a little bit later on here in this broadcast. At the moment here in qualifying, a 10-minute long solo session, 2 laps allotted to these drivers. Drivers getting a taste of this wonderful racetrack here at Watkins, Glen. It is one heck of a ride here in these GT3 machines, and one that we have seen a decent amount of here on iRacing, the iRacing special event, the Watkins Glen 6-hour, just this past weekend. So it's not the first time I've gotten the opportunity to cover GT3 racing here at Watkins Glen in the past week alone, but still love to see this site as we ride on board at the moment with Logan Fulmer trying to get a lap time here in this number 08 machine. Got a couple cars represented out there between your Mercedes, your BMWs, and the one lone Ferrari of Leo Carpentier. We'll talk about some of the drivers that we have here in this series coming up here in a few moments' time. At the moment, though, Charles, these drivers looking to ace what is a pretty tough racetrack to try and nail down. It may be one that we all really know like the back of our hand to some degree, but it is also one that can bite your head off.
It is indeed. And, you know, I've probably ran more laps at this track than I have at any other track in iRacing. And probably splitting time between one of the Formula cars and the GT3s here, and just love the track. But you know, the thing is every time we get a new season, there's always changes, and there's been a little bit of a change here with Watkins, and primarily in the bus stop section. They've kind of tightened up the off track there. It used to be you could just run that thing basically right up against the Armco on the right side. Not so much anymore. It's got those diamond curbs in there, and if you get on them, A, it's going to really disrupt your rhythm, and B, it's going to give you an off track. So you have to be very careful there, a little more so than normal. You know, as we're coming through turn 9 and we switch over to the Ferrari, but it is one of those tracks that is really easy to get a groove, to get your rhythm in, but there are still things on this track that will disrupt that rhythm if you abuse your track limits, or if you abuse the curbs will abuse you back.
Yeah, no, this track is one that can certainly throw you under the rails very, very quickly. One small little trip up around this place, and you are going to be in for a world of hurt. So to get this season up and rolling, this is definitely going to be a test for these drivers. We've got some amazing races to look forward to here in this inaugural season of this championship. Of course, Watkins Glen here for race number 1. Maunz will be the site of the next round of the championship in 1 week's time. Then we head to Road Atlanta for round number 3, the St. Petersburg Street Course for round 4, Long Beach, the Icon for round number 5, and we're going to be heading off to Le Mans to round off this first season of action. 6 weeks of action here in SKR, and you'll be able to catch the action all season long here live on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I want to thank you all for tuning into the action here tonight. We are going to have a heck of a lot of fun. These drivers already having a heck of a lot of fun at there. Logan Fulmer was quick on his previous lap, but that did not count an invalidation at some point in the lap, so we'll have to see what Chris Barrett can do. We're following him right now. Was green in Sector 1, setting his personal best Sector 1 time so far here, but not doing too good in the 2 sectors after that. Green in the 4th sector, so things are looking good for him, as Justin Ruth also on a good lap time as well, so we may be getting some heaters in very soon.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way as we talk about the 3 car classes that are being used tonight. You got 2 of the front engine monsters with the Mercedes and the BMW M4 that are going to have just tons of straight line speed. And then you've got Carpentier in that lone Ferrari, and he's going to have a little bit of an advantage. The Ferrari drafts really well for one thing. It's just really smooth behind another car. And then it's going to have a lot better I think balance through some of the slower corners with that mid-engine setup that it has. So you know, wouldn't surprise me to see Justin Ruth. It may be either a really, really good car or a really, really bad car, since he's the only one. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. As we're still under the under qualifying here with about 6.5 minutes gone. So we'll just have to wait and see what Carpentier does in the Ferrari there, as he's going to be the kind of odd man out there with the with a mid-engine car as opposed to the front-engine cars.
And Leo Carpentier, actually born in France. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the drivers that we have racing in this championship throughout this season. Interesting cast of characters here. I mentioned a few moments ago that SKR Sim Racing is not too far away from it. I think it's only an hour drive from where I am here in Northeast Philadelphia. Founded in 2024, SKR is a sim racing center just a stone's throw away from the city of Philadelphia. With high-end pro-grade motion simulators, it's a must visit for fans of speed who want to experience the thrill of driving, all from the comfort of an indoor studio space. Located in Lansdale, just a short walk away from the nearest SEPTA station, you can learn more about taking a trip to get a taste of speed at skrsimracing.com. And we'll stay tuned throughout the rest of this season. There's a little thing that I may have up my sleeve a little bit later on here in this campaign. In the meantime, though, finally getting some first lap times on the board. Chris Barrett in the number 1 machine, your current provisional pole sitter, 146.5. Leo Carpentier right now in second, just got a banker lap time in. Justin Ruth, though, is looking really quick currently in that number 4 car. He's heading his way across the stripe here momentarily. Purple in all of the sectors, and he's going to jump up to the top as long as that time counted, which it did, a 144.5 for the BMW.
Yeah, good run there by Ruth in the Beamer with a really good time. A nice gap there. We'll see if Carpentier can set himself a little bit faster time here on the second lap, as we got the two Fulmer boys still yet to set a time. But you know, this is one of those races that I don't think a qualifying time really going to matter too much. The race itself is going to be where the points are dished out. So I don't think the qualifying is all that important. Although it will help just get a little bit of confidence in your driving line there before we get into the race session. So I did, listening to you, Ron, talk about the schedule. We're going to a pretty iconic track here at Glen just Google World GT Challenge 2026 at Maunz. and you'll find out what you're going to be in for next week with these guys trying to get out there. There's a good catch there by Fulmer to hang on to that car, and that is the treacherous turn 9, which probably won't be the only time we see a slide or a spin coming out of that corner. It deals fits just by the way you have to attack it. So we'll see, I'm sure, more adventures there through turn 9.
Yeah, turn 9 is, I'll be honest, as one of my least favorite turns in all of global motorsports. There are many things that I can say about that turn that I'm not going to, considering this is the first broadcast of the season. We're not going to come in guns blazing. We'll work ourselves up for that here in a couple of weeks. So those who are familiar with my kind of style of broadcasting, things get a little bit wild for sure. But looking forward to it here. You can't really, describe sports car racing here in the States without talking about Watkins Glen. I couldn't think of a better way to get this season up rocking and rolling around this 11-turn, 3.5-mile long all-American road course. Former host of the Formula One United States Grand Prix, still the host of the IMSA Watkins Glen 6-hour every single year, and now we're going to have some fun. But with the qualifying session now officially in our rearview mirror, we can switch ahead and take a look at your starting grid here for the first race of this brand new season. 20 minutes ahead of us here at Watkins Glen. It's going to be Justin Ruth starting from the pole position. Sets a 144.597 there for his qualifying time. Chris Barrett and the number 1 machine will join him there on the front row. Leo Carpentier will start this race in third. Next to him will be Logan Fulmer, with Ryan Fulmer, his dad, rounding out your 5-car field here for the first race of this brand new series. And once again, I want to thank you all for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Now, Charles, what we're seeing already is the continual evolution that we've gotten here on iRacing with GT3 racing, multiple brand new cars being brought in, rescanned, or the introduction of the Mustang, the Corvette, the new McLaren, the new Ferrari that Leo Carpentier is driving. But GT3 racing, despite being one of the more diverse grids in the world of motorsports, it is still one of the most competitive as well. Our top 3 qualifiers here, all with different manufacturers.
Yeah, absolutely. Is these cars have a balance of performance attached to them that are in the standard officials for iRacing. So these cars are balanced to the best they can make it. That doesn't mean that it's going to be every track is the same. There's going to be some tracks that benefit or are better for certain car types. And then some tracks are going to be better for others. So it's it's one of those that and when you get up to those high I rating races, then you can pick the car that's the fastest for the track. But where we are here with SKR, and for myself included, not the fastest guy on the track, but I try and stay consistent. And you pick the car that you're more comfortable with, right? So you want to get out there in a car that you can drive comfortably, and so these guys have done that. These cars, as we go on, you might see the BMW not be as good at, say, a place like Monza or maybe even Long Beach with those tight corners there. You may see the Ferrari up toward the front. So it's just going to be pick your car, pick what you're comfortable driving, and then go have some fun with it and get better with it. And that's the whole point.
I will also say, talking once more about this racetrack, Watkins Glen is one that we have gone to cover many times before here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in various different cars, between the ranks of the Weekend Warriors that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, the Spec Racer Fords. We also recently saw the Weekend Warriors 49th V runoffs being held here, including the Formula 4 cars and some radical SR8. So it's a track that we get to see a decent amount here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So I want to pass it off to our producer, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, right now. Our we like to call him the pit reporter here from the production truck. Josh, I want to ask you about your thoughts here on Watkins Glen, because ourselves, we've gotten to cover numerous races here at this track, and I know you're on pretty much the complete opposite side of North America, being there on the west coast of Canada from this racetrack here on the east coast of the States. But it is still, one of the most storied American racing facilities of them all.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. And a great place to start the season here for SKR, being a grassroots series. Like we said, this is a bit of a feeder series, so we're going to watch these drivers over the course of this season here. They're going to get better, they're going to get faster, they're going to get more respectful of each other, and that's exactly what we want to do. And this is a great place to start that, as Charles was saying, kind of in the run-up. This isn't maybe the most difficult track on paper. You can get around this track, but getting fast around here is difficult, and I think that's kind of a perfect place to start, really. You're going to be able to make the laps here, but there is a trick to this place. There's a trick to a few of these corners, and it's not quite as easy. Maybe we'll do a little driver profile here too today. We do have a bunch of them. We got Logan Fulmer out there today. He says his favorite car is the 911 GT3, but actually in the Beamer today, and that's kind of interesting. He said he's been racing for about 8 months. He does like to follow real-world racing, too, with the F1. His fast-paced racing, and his favorite car is clearly the 911 GT3 there, as we said before. Seems to like those technical tracks, so maybe we can get somewhere like Monza. He seems to like Monza and Miami. His father's out here as well, so we got a father-son team out there racing, and I think every week we'll do a little profile on one of our drivers. And this week, that was Logan Fulmer there in the black BMW. And we're about to get a race start here, guys. So I think this is a great place to start. And I'm excited about this grassroots series.
Yeah, this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. One driver not taking the green flag was meant to start this race in third. It's a Frenchman, Leo Carpentier, in the Ferrari, but the green flag flies. The drivers are on their way, and this season of SKR sim racing action here on SMB is underway. Good start there from your pole man of Justin Ruth, leading it down into turn number 1 in that BMW. Keep an eye on those two BMWs at the back, the father and son duo of Ryan and Logan Fulmer. Logan, that is, may be happy about Monza next time out, but right now having to tackle Watkins Glen, currently shotgun of the field in fourth. Chris Barrett, meanwhile, in that lone Mercedes out there on the racetrack, looking to try and make up some inroads, close up that gap between himself and your current race leader, as Leo Carpentier has also rejoined, maybe trying to avoid some of the drama that could have potentially gone down there into turn number one, which, let's be honest, Josh and Charles, that is not too uncommon of an occurrence around this place.
No, it's really not. It's not, and it's not necessarily turn one. It's the S's, especially at the start of the race. You get the field bunched up, trying to go through there, sometimes too wide, which is not conducive to good racing. Unfortunately, lots of incidents there, but everybody's clean through. As we see Ryan Fulmer with a little bump off the barrier there, he's going to continue on, but that's another one of those corners there in the toe. That you really have to be right on the line as we see Chris Barrett now trying to close that gap down up to Justin Ruth.
Yeah, so unfortunate moment there for Ryan Fulmer as he headed his way through the boot section. It was down into the toe that he ran into trouble, as Chris Barrett nearly running into trouble as he headed his way off through my favorite turn, the whole wide world of turn number 9. Words cannot describe how awkward that turn is in any sort of race car. It's off camber. It feels blind as you head your way through there, and the exit is so much tighter than the entrance that there's really no good line through there. There is only the least terrible.
That's true. Yeah, it's the it's the section that connects back to the NASCAR straightaway for the NASCAR layout here, and it does kind of go from a nice camber to anti-cambered, I guess if you want to call it that. So there is a very specific line you need to run through there in order to get the fastest way through possible and the safest way through possible. And with these front engine cars, well, I think we saw Ryan Fulmer back there brush the barrier there coming out of turn 9. It is one of those that until these tires get up to temp, and it usually takes probably the second or third lap to get full adhesion there on the nose of these cars, that it's a very difficult corner to make.
You know, all in all, around this racetrack, these drivers are going to have their hands full throughout. But right now, just trying to learn the ropes and settle into a groove right now. Justin Ruth is still your race leader, holding on to a 4-second margin over Chris Barrett there in second place. Logan Fulmer, Ryan Fulmer, and Leo Carpentier rounding out your field. I wonder if we can potentially focus there on that Ferrari, the number 3 of Leo Carpentier. I talked about the 24-year-old Frenchman. Recently moved here to the States, living out there in Lansdale. And one thing I will say about this Ferrari, it is kind of the litmus test as to how long I've been doing this broadcasting stuff. I remember the first ever GT3 season that I got to cover back in the summer of 2023. That was when they brought that Ferrari in. And now it's one of the, I wouldn't say a venerable car here on iRacing, but it's getting close to having, as Gen Z/Gen Alpha would call it, UNC status.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't know where you were going with that, but yeah, absolutely. It is. It's not the oldest. I mean, if you want to talk about the oldest car out there, I think it's currently the Mercedes. The 2020 version of the Mercedes AMG, I think, is the oldest car in the GT class. This, obviously, the 296. The kind of the latest iteration of the Ferraris. For those who have been in iRacing for a while, they will remember the good old days of the Ferrari Fix, the first GT class race that you come in when you get out of the rookies, and you jump in the old Ferrari 488 and try and make that thing work and not die in the process. But obviously now with the new 296s. It is a little bit different, but it's still one of those cars because they still use it as one of the rookie series. I'm sorry, the entry series, the D-Class license series. That is one of those. It's a very jack of all trades car. It doesn't do anything brilliantly, but it does everything pretty well, and it's a very serviceable car to learn the ropes of how to drive GTs.
Yeah, now every sort of racing class needs that old venerable workhorse, and I would say that we've got a decent amount of them here in the GT3 category. I always point at the Porsche 911 as kind of being that old venerable workhorse here in GT3 racing. I've gotten to cover those cars for many moons between GT3, racing as a blanket term, between covering just the Porsches with the Porsche Club of America is a lot of use that those cars do get. A lot of love that they get in all kinds of events right now. Following Justin Ruth, your current race leader in that number 4 machine, started from the pole and has, I wouldn't say checked out, but has definitely pulled a gap as we've gone along throughout this race. This is his car of choice here on iRacing, and you can certainly understand why. He is taken to this GT3 BMW like a duck to water. He's a member of SKR. He's racing there in the place right now. Started about a year ago in the SKR community as he enjoyed the league so much, in fact, he was able to build his own rig at home to try and get some practice time in. He's a fan of Road Atlanta, so I think he will be a fan of when we head off there in about 2 weeks' time in the championship. Road Atlanta, that is a very, very fun racetrack, so certainly no way that I could judge that at all. Talking about his love for the BMW, he's been racing that for a couple of seasons now. He has said that he may potentially switch, but considering the performance he has at the moment here in this machine, leading comfortably, things are working good for him. But hearing the fact that he enjoyed this league so much that he decided to build his own sim rig, we hear a lot of these stories in a league that, funnily enough, is going to be broadcasted later on tonight here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, that being the Sim Racers Group, which also has a brick and mortar location out there in San Jose, California. Many of those drivers started racing in person at SRG, and then ended up building their own sim rigs, getting the chance to drive in, kind of falling in love with racing in real time. And whenever we get the opportunity to hear stories like that of somebody falling in love with the sport that we all obviously love, always kind of touches the heart a little bit in a way, don't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just as we get this season underway, I'm sure that we'll start getting more and more drivers in. I think he's got a nice group. Obviously, not present. We've got 5 of them tonight, but I think there's double digit versions that are set up in the league. So hopefully we'll get everything straightened out, and these guys can get into the season next week, and we'll have us a nice group of racers for Monza, and then Road Atlanta and beyond, and then obviously Le Mans at the end is just such a fun race. Some people don't like it. They just think it's too long, it's boring, you're not really doing anything, but it is one of the most difficult tracks just to try and keep your concentration on and getting everything precise. So I'm looking forward to the races we have coming up here, as we've got Logan Fulmer here working his way through the boot as he comes through the hill here and out, and that's probably going to be an off track there. That's just a little wide coming out of there, and here we go into turn 9, and you kind of see how the car transitions there from that camber to anti-camber. It really makes it difficult to get through there, but Fulmer did a good job. Logan doing a good job here as he works his way through the final couple of corners to back out on the front straight. So pretty good race going on here. Everybody is getting faster every lap, so it's good to see. It looks like everybody's settling into a good rhythm.
Yeah, it's a beautiful night here on iRacing to try and get some sim racing in. Currently looking at about 75 degrees as the track temperature, 71 degrees Fahrenheit for the ambient. That is pretty much my definition of perfect weather, period. Any hotter and I start to turn into a small little puddle there on the floor. We'll say one benefit that these drivers have, along with some pretty good track conditions, is the incident counts, because for those unfamiliar, iRacing has an incident point system for any sort of discretion you may have out there on the racetrack. If you go off the track, you pick up 1 incident point. If you lose control of your race car, you pick up 2. If you make contact with another car, you can get anywhere between 1 and 4. It's a sliding scale with that system, but eventually you do rack those up and you do pick up penalties on iRacing. If that is the case, this series is no different. 17 incident points for a penalty. So that would just be a standard drive-through, come down pit lane at pit lane speed. Those are always the most painful penalties, especially here around a racetrack like that. And incident point disqualification limits, that is a thing as well. If you had too many incident points, you just get yoinked from the session. You get disqualified. 25x, 25 incident points, the limit for that. So keep an eye on that as these drivers try and get a grip to this combination, as Justin Ruth still continues to pull an advantage. I want to go back to the conversation that we touched on a bit earlier on, Charles, and kind of bring all of us into this discussion, sharing the stories of how we kind of all fell in love with racing. I think all three of us here in the booth, between you, Charles, Josh in the production truck, and myself, all come from different backgrounds in terms of how we kind of fell in love with racing, but all good stories in their own right. Me personally, I fell in love with racing as a 4-year-old, going to my first ever NHRA drag race at Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey. Seeing a Top Fuel dragster go by at about 300 miles an hour, as it turns out, has an effect on a preschooler. And nowadays, decade-long karting career in the rearview mirror and making fart jokes while racing events go on for a living now, it is developed into a lifelong love. But Charles, I want to ask if you want to share the story of how you fell in love with the world of motorsports.
I mean, it's pretty simple, family things. I actually, being from the South, the first race I ever attended was a NASCAR race at Talladega. It was my grandfather and my uncle and my stepfather and myself. My grandfather called on a Saturday, said, "Hey, you guys want to go to Talladega tomorrow?" And we said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And this just happened to be July, I think early August 1986. And Billy Elliott on that Friday had just set the fastest qualifying lap in NASCAR history at 211 miles an hour. So that really brought my grandfather up to say, "Hey, you know what? We need to go." And we sat in the infield at turn 3 at Talladega, and it was about 175 degrees. But we just kind of endured it and had a great time. Watched Billy Elliott just essentially lap the field. It was just a dominant performance, and that really got me going. And then everything after that was just, picking up different series here and there, IMSA and Formula One, and I think Formula One probably the latest of all of them, but IMSA for sure, IndyCar as well. Watching the Indy 500 on that Sunday, Memorial Day Sunday. So yeah, it's just it just grew from there, and so just really enjoyed. Really enjoy motorsports, and just happy now to be in iRacing and can actually drive these cars I've been watching for 40 years or so.
Yeah, now, Josh, I want to ask you as well from the production truck how you fell in love with racing. Probably a different experience up there in Canada, a bit less racetracks up there in the land of maple syrup than we have here in the land of balding eagles.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. Yep, not as many chances out here to actually go to live events of any real consequence. Anyway, there is a lot of dirt track, oval racing, and kind of grassroots stuff going on here. We don't have a lot of dedicated racetracks here in Canada. So my story's pretty much from my father. My father and his brother loving F1 when they were kids, and I used to fall asleep when I was little with a dinky car in each hand. I have been absolutely obsessed with cars since I was a little guy, so it didn't really take much, I don't think, for me. I've always liked to race everything and go as fast as I can in everything. Even when somebody's walking up the steps beside me at the mall and they pass me, I have this urge to just go a little faster and pass them till I get to the top, sort of thing. So I think it's kind of built into me a little bit. A lot of memories, like Charles saying as well, was back with the Indianapolis 500 every year. I used to go to the Molson Indy in Toronto, and I think that's probably the first time I saw it, and my eyes were as big as silver dollars, and that was it. I was definitely absolutely hooked. And if I can go back even a little farther than that, when I was a very, very little guy, my dad brought me to Canadian Motorsports Park, which used to be called Motorsports back in the day. One of my favorite racetracks of all time. We saw Can-Am race there, and I think that was probably the first time I laid eyes on a car, and that's probably when I fell in love with it right there. But the sim racing thing, has really been able to bring that back to the forefront for me and for many others, including these guys on track here, I'm sure, as well, and be able to go between IRL and sim racing and just, almost any race car you want on any track you want, and get out there and have fun with it with your friends. Or in this situation, you guys are in Pennsylvania, I'm in Canada. These guys are actually at a brick and mortar sim racing center out there, and that's just the coolest thing in the world to me. Later on we're going to be doing an F3 race again, which is another sim center actually in another area of Pennsylvania, I believe. So who knows? Maybe someday we can get them together and they can do. Or sorry, it's in California. That's right. And maybe they can get together and do some racing or something like that too. So it's just really cool to see all of these things come together, and then we're all able to share it in this way, and with families and friends and everything too. So pretty cool stuff, guys, and cool to hear the stories as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, see, it's the difference between, I guess it's Philadelphia Freedom versus California Love that we've got here tonight on Wednesday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
I do apologize for
looking
that.
At Justin
California.
Ruth here in the number 4 machine as he heads his way down the back straightaway in through the bus stop now. Still holding on to a pretty significant margin. Again, talking about these drivers having that level of comfort behind the wheel to hit every apex run as well as they can, and just putting on a good performance right now there in that number 4 machine. Chris Barrett still holding on to second right now here in this race. I wonder, with time coming close, I wonder if there is a possibility that Leo Carpentier could maybe reel in Logan Fulmer between now and the end. Looking at the last lap times from those two drivers, Fulmer was at a 148.7, while Carpentier was at a 146.4. Now, it's still 6.6 seconds between those drivers, which does seem a lot. However, that's gone down by about a full second just in this little blib-blab of mine.
Yeah, you see that Ferrari jumping the curb there at the bus stop. So, yeah, he is definitely trying to close him down. That's a slowdown, obviously, as we said. Took too much of that inside curb. Got to let off, let it breathe, get the slowdown worked off, that yellow flag, because if you don't clear that in time, you end up getting a black flag and a drive-through penalty. So he's got that cleared and back out there. I will say this, and we've talked about it's just amongst ourselves here, but I'm just kind of watching our timing and scoring software, and every driver that's out there is now setting their fastest laps of the race. So even Ron Fulmer back here, in 5th place, is a little bit off the pace, but he is still is decreasing his lap times every lap around. So he's doing he's down from like 156 down to 152. So doing a great job of just getting better at the track and continuing to improve, and that's what you want to see out of these drivers.
Yeah, and it is awesome to see these drivers just making up the time, getting into a groove, and having fun out there on the racetrack as well. What's racing without a little bit of fun? And these drivers are having it right now. Ryan Fulmer right now shotgun the field, trying to get into a groove there in that number 2 machine. See, I'm always a little bit biased when I see a number 2 car out there on the road. That was my karting number throughout my entire career from 2013 up until 2023. Even in this sim, I still use the number 2. Now, sometimes it is in a variation of an 02, but point still remains the same either way. As Leo Carpentier giving us a little headlight flash there. I wonder if he knows he's on camera as he heads his way down in through the bus stop right about now. He is starting to reel in that gap between he and Logan Fulmer. I had a feeling that things were going to go down that way. 3.7 seconds, as I believe we are coming close to the white flag. Justin Ruth on that start-finish straightaway right now. Minute left on the clock. The white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Watkins Glen, as Fulmer and Carpentier really starting to reel each other in, heading off through the boot. One of the more technical sections of this racetrack. He'll need to put together a very strong final 1 1/3 of a lap, Charles. But I think Leo Carpentier may be able to give us a grandstand finish for the final podium spot.
He very, very well could. He is closing that gap significantly here during this lap. And he's even dropped a couple of tenths here just as we've been talking about it. I don't think those light flashes were for us. I think those were for Mr. Fulmer up at the front saying, hey, I see you. I'm behind you right now. Yep, there we go. Another light's flash there as he gets on the straightaway behind that BMW and said, hey, just let me let you know, those lights are getting bigger as I'm flashing them at you. So here I come.
So, I said, what's racing without a little bit of fun? What's racing without a little bit of mental trickery as
That's
well?
it.
Get to your competitor's head there. That's exactly what we're seeing right there. Fortunately, Ryan Fulmer picking up a black flag a few moments ago. That may be for an incident point violation. But as a black flag is out for your driver in fifth, the white flag has been firmly out for your race leader, Justin Ruth, heading his way off through turn number 8. This is the heel of the boot, heading his way back out onto the main facility. And the checkered flag is going to be his for the first here this season. Justin Ruth heading his way through the final few turns here in a couple of moments as Logan Fulmer now only 0.8 of a second the margin between he and Leo Carpentier. This is going to be a grandstand finish here for third. Up at the front though, Justin Ruth rounds his way around that final turn onto the start finish straightaway to score the victory here in race number 1 of the SKR Sim Racing League season. He gets a job done here at Watkins Glen. Chris Barrett looks like he is going to be all by himself there in P2 as a battling may get hot here for third. Logan Fulmer and Leo Carpentier not too far away from each other. Barrett able to get the other lapping maneuver done there on Ryan Fulmer all through turn number 9. He heads his way through the penultimate turn into the final turn right about now in that number 1 Mercedes. An eye-catching livery to be sure. Always a fan of my neons, even if it's a neon yellow instead of a neon orange. Barrett comes across the line to finish in P2. Who's going to be in third though? Logan Fulmer. Leo Carpentier still covered by 0.6 of a second. Carpentier still giving a little bit of a headlight flash as he headed his way out of turn number 9, but I think he may have run out of opportunities unless Fulmer has a tragic exit out of this final turn. It looks like the final podium spot will go to the driver of the number 08 machine. Fulmer ends up in third with Leo Carpentier only 0.6 of a second back, put on a rousing effort right towards the end, but unfortunately I believe that pit lane start may have doomed him before that green flag even flew. Ryan Fulmer was 1 lap down at the fall of the checkered flag, but did come across a stripe. He ends up being the final car classified here in this race. We'll take a look at your results here momentarily, but Charles, pretty smooth night to get this season up rocking and rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice, easy race, clean race, no incidents. We did see some guys struggling a little bit with their cars on some of the more difficult corners here, which is, not unexpected. As this, once again, we talked about turn 9, but there's a couple corners here that will catch you out. The bus stop as well, as we saw a couple of cars flying through there. So yeah, good race though. Saw a little bit of drama there at the end. Carpentier with a great run, and I think if he rethought that, starting in the back of the field is better than starting in the pits. It's just you lose way too much time there, and it's probably did end up costing him the P3 tonight. But still, once again, good charge up through. Ferrari looked really quick, and all the drivers again improved their overall lap times during the course of the race, which is absolutely what you want to see.
Yeah, good improvement for these drivers from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. I'll get some of these stats here in just a couple of moments, kind of run you through how the other lap times evolved. Many of the drivers going from the 150 bracket up until the very end, able to set quicker and quicker lap times. Chris Barrett as a good example. First few laps of this race, lap 1, 151, lap 2, 150, lap 3, 146, and was really able to shave off time from there. A 146.1 is fastest lap of the race on the last lap of the race there in that number 1 machine. As we take a look at the sights and sounds of this wonderful racing facility here at Watkins Glen in upstate New York, and see the view of your start of this first race of this brand new season. We'll take a look at your finishing order, see how everybody lined up here at the very end, and potentially have a chat with some of these drivers before we draw things to a conclusion here in this opening broadcast of the season. Have an issue with the other results. There we go. Second try as a charm. Just a little bit of WD-40 there, a little spritz, and we're good to go. Justin Ruth ends up winning this race, first one of the season for him. He scores a victory over Chris Barrett in second. Logan Fulmer is in third with Leo Carpentier, and Ryan Fulmer completing your 5 cars classified here in this race. Yeah, I will say here, Charles, and this is honest, that BMW, I never really know what to make of it here in these GT3 races. I've always heard conflicting thoughts on it.
I mean, yeah, it's once again very fast down the straights. It's obviously one of the bigger of the GT cars, and it's a little tough to handle through some of the slower sections. But obviously, Justin Ruth proved that that car can be very fast. He's running, some laps in the 143s, I think, all the way down to 142. So definitely there's some pace in that car. But I think once we get to Monza next week, I think you may see the Ferrari. The Ferrari's always good because it's an Italian car, and they always test at the Italian tracks. So you may see Carpentier giving Mr. Ruth a challenge next week when we get to Monza.
Yeah, of course, the races we still have in store. Watkins Glen, just the first of a 6-course meal that we've got throughout the summer here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Monza in 1 week's time. We hope to see you all there. Road Atlanta the following week for the first half of the season to be fully concluded. St. Pete following that, Long Beach after that, and Le Mans. A pretty mixed and multifaceted season that we've got in store here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you one heck of a reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of it. Charles, I'm going to ask you here, what do you think is probably the race that you were looking forward to the most on this season calendar?
I don't know. It's honestly, you couldn't ask for 6 better tracks to race to start a new league up. I mean, you've got some just iconic tracks, obviously tonight here at the Glen, but then you go to Monza and then Road Atlanta and then Long Beach, St. Pete, and then Le Mans. It's, there's 6 really, really good tracks. I think St. Pete, obviously, it being the newest of those 6, we may see some interesting racing there. Just because of the newness of the track. And so that's probably the outlier. I think the rest of them, though, is pretty standard, iconic fare for the GT class. So we'll have to wait and see on that St. Pete circuit. But the rest of them, I think, is going to make for some really good racing.
Yeah, I think it's a very fun season that we are going to have here. And of course, you'll be able to catch this action all season long here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Doesn't look like any drivers are going to be joining us for a little chat here at the end of this brand new season. But I think that'll just about do it here on SMB. I want to thank you all for tuning into the action. Well, I'll let you all know once again just a little bit about the other folks that were running in this event. Founded in 2024, SKR is a sim racing center a stone's throw away from the city of Philadelphia with high-end pro-grade motion simulators. It's a must-visit for fans of speed who want to experience the thrill of driving, all from the comfort of an indoor studio. Located in Lansdale, just a short walk away from the nearest SEPTA station, you can learn more about taking a trip to get a taste of speed at skrsimracing.com. And of course, you'll be able to catch the next round of this championship here on SMB in just 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Monza. So I have a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We'll let you know what is coming up right about now. Tonight, and this broadcast was just part 1 of a 2-part feature here on Wednesday nights. You'll be able to catch the action from the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship at the Red Bull Ring here in a few moments. That'll be at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can see your local listings here on the channel. SKR will be back here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Monza. That is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. You can also see the action from the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship this upcoming Tuesday. Weekend Warriors action and the Ray Esports Summer Shootout Series will be back here on the channel. This time with something a little bit different from what we saw this past weekend. Formula V racing. Always love to see our beloved Formula Vs. The American Muscle Series will return here to Slow Motion Broadcasting on Tuesday, July the 7th. That'll be at Sandown. And in that same week, you'll be able to catch the return of XMS TCC touring car action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And if you want to see a little bit more of what we have to offer, happy to take a look at some of our YouTube shorts on the channel here as well. A lot of action here gives you a good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of it. But as to this broadcast here tonight for round number 1 of the SKR Sim Racing Series season here at Watkins Glen, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Joshua Wilkie working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler. I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.